Marketers and technology companies are finally having a discussion that we should have been having a long time ago. And that is, how do we protect the quid pro quo of the internet, which is seeing relevant ads in exchange for free content, while at the same time protecting privacy. We all have to be preparing for an internet that does not have third-party cookies. One thing that I think is bigger than any company, it's bigger than Apple, it's bigger than Google, is the quid pro quo of the internet, where you see relevant ads in exchange for free content. Every other attempt to monetize the internet a different way, including micropayments and a bunch of other forms, has not worked. It always comes back to that quid pro quo. Marketers and publishers have also done a remarkably bad job of explaining that quid pro quo of the internet. GDPR said we had to better explain that cookies were being used, and many publishers, instead of trying to explain that quid pro quo of the internet, simply said, there are cookies. And that didn't really give consumers any comfort. They didn't understand what a cookie did. They just understood that it was being tracked, and it must be scary if you're having to give notice like this. This is why the Trade Desk is a part of a collaborative initiative of the entire open internet to preserve the quid pro quo while upgrading the technology, the encryption, the privacy, the consumer controls across the board, and create something that is better than third-party cookies. And that's what we've done in Unified ID 2.0. So let me explain what the solution is. There's really 4 parts. The first thing is a unified ID. This ID is simply a random number that is an upgrade to the random number that was inside of cookies. And it's an upgrade because it's encrypted, it's an upgrade because it rotates, and it's an upgrade because anybody who uses it has to accept terms and conditions, which is not true in a browser or inside of cookies. The second thing is that there's the lightest weight single sign-on on the internet. And what this does is it makes it really easy for a consumer to consent one time per website and per app, saying, yes, I'm willing to receive relevant ads in exchange for this free content. You verify that with an email address, and now that becomes true across all of your devices. The third thing is there is this consumer consent framework. And that means that they can specify in one place something that gets inherited on your Apple phone, but also in Chrome. And right now, Chrome and Apple's operating system don't talk to each other at all. So this is a mechanism that it makes it possible for those OEMs to consume that. And then lastly, there is this publisher consent framework. So that when you say, I'm willing to see relevant ads from this particular publisher, you don't have to say it again and again and again, okay, 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 every time you go to the website. And in fact, you only have to verify your email address one time. Because without this, you may see an internet where every single website requires you to sign in, and then you get a lot more spam, as well as you see sharing and different privacy policies that, of course, as consumers, we're never going to read. So across those 4 things, we upgrade cookies across the board, and everybody is better off for it. Now is a moment that we have to get momentum. And when I say we, I mean the open internet. We have to get momentum towards a unified solution that creates an ID that makes it possible to preserve the quid pro quo of the internet, so that things like journalism are not beholden to 3 or 4 companies that have significant control over the internet, including most of the browsing experience. We need to make certain that this is owned by the open internet and that it's regulated by a body, something like the IAB, that makes it so that everybody on the open internet is protected and no one's overrepresented in this. Right now is the time for us to act and be involved and not wait to see what happens.